got Johnny Eblen stepping up here right now.
I like that belt. It's mine, though.
Johnny, you just watched him fight the guy that you won that belt from. What do you think of this performance?
It's a pretty good performance, but I'm a much tougher opponent than Gegard, and you're gonna fucking see that when we fight.
You finish? Mate, watch. We know when the show is. We know when the show is. That belt's mine.
No.
That belt's mine, brother.
This is staying
that
in
belt's
South
mine.
Florida with me,
Not
baby.
take chance.
USA all day.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event on September 23rd from Dublin, Ireland for the middleweight title will be the champion, Johnny Eblen, against the challenger, Fabian Edwards.
That gives you a sign of what to expect, doesn't it? Edwards and Eblen going at it already.
Let's go to the numbers, the tail of the tape for our main event for the Bellator Middleweight World Championship.
Yeah, if you're going to look at anything, you got to look at that reach advantage. 79.5 is a massive reach compared to 74 inches, and Fabian uses it very well. Is it going to be the difference here, or does Johnny crush with pressure?
Gentlemen, went over the rules. This is for the title. Fight hard. Keep it clean. If you want to touch gloves, do it now. Get back to your room. Corners.
The champion Eblen blending his boxing with his wrestling. He told us he's going to rearrange Edwards' fist with his face and take that belt, the Bellator Middleweight Championship, back to America for Fabian Edwards. He feels, well, he's going to put the war in his last name, but he doesn't think it goes the distance. He thinks he finishes Eblen in round 2 or 3.
We will see.
We will see.
Ready? Ready? Fight!
Oh, yeah, here we go.
And immediately, Eblen with the high kick blocked by Edwards. Of course, it was a dramatic final round left hand kick that gave Edwards' brother Leon the thrill of a lifetime. Edwards looking to equal that. And for their mother, Verona, we talked about at the start of the show, she is watching at home in England on TV. She cannot be live. She gets too nervous. And even when she's at home watching, they send them film after the fight showing how crazy she gets watching her kids compete.
Well, I really like what I'm seeing out of Fabian Edwards here. Notice how he has taken control of the cage. He's the one that's dictating where the fight's going to take place, and he has Johnny Eblen moving in circles. Now Johnny's moving to the right side of Fabian. That's away from his power. That's a smart move.
Edwards, a slick southpaw sniper, does a lot of work with that left kick, and in fact, Eblen moving forward, he's starting this fight orthodox. He had amazing success as a southpaw when he dethroned Gegard Mousasi for the championship.
He can fight both stances, and that's one of the things, you know, a lot of wrestlers get used to having
And now he is.
forward, and that's why Johnny goes to that southpaw stance. It's a good place for him to shoot also, so you're going to see him moving back and forth.
Eblen punctuating both of his last 2 fights with German suplexes in the final round. Did it against Mousasi, did it in his first title defense against Anatoly Tokov on CBS this past February. And those in his corner, the pressure cooker that is American Top Team feel that already he is the best middleweight on the planet, wants to cement that status tonight. And he has a lot of respect for Sean Strickland, who he sparred with in the past.
A lot of the reason that ATT feels the way they do about Johnny Eblen is the way that he trains and the positions that he puts himself in training, the bad positions. He always puts himself in those places where you don't want to be, to figure out how do I get out of him and how do I make him work for me. That's not easy to do when you're in training and you're the champ, but that's what makes you better.
Eblen able to crush space and land a combination before backing up, and Edwards testing the waters with his rear leg, catches the kick of Eblen. But Edwards moving forward right in front of Eblen, and there's the jab from the southpaw. Midway point of the first round, scheduled for 5. Spotting kick by Edwards. Ooh, nice right hand as a decoy looking for the takedown. And Eblen trying to take Edwards off his feet. Edwards, of course, improving his wrestling and his anti-wrestling. And he worked on it, John, after his loss to Austin Vanderford. And since then, well, 3 consecutive wins, and we've seen a marked improvement in his offensive and defensive wrestling.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that made his brother change levels as far as a fighter, was his ability to all of a sudden start to wrestle, and not only be a defensive wrestler, make it part of his offensive game. And Fabian has done that.
Eblen putting the pressure on Edwards, putting all of his weight along the fence. There's a knee and the elbow on the break. So it's Eblen taking a page out of Edwards' book. As the break off the clinch, lands the elbow. And another kick by Edwards. Lead hand back.
That was a very nicely placed elbow attack. And you always want to leave them on the exit, leave them with something to remember.
Kick by Edwards to the lead leg of the southpaw Eblen. So Eblen now fighting from the southpaw stance. And of course in MMA, John, you blend your stances nowadays. Everyone's a switch hitter, or maybe should be. A lot of people working on going both, and you have to. Yeah, under a minute left in the ring.
You know, anytime you have that lead leg is what's going to be attacked. And it can only take so much before it starts to alter your movement, your balance, everything. So you've got to be able to switch things up. Well, I'm really impressed that Fabian has decided I'm going to make it to where I'm not going to move back a lot. Now, he moved back, obviously, on the takedown attempts and things like that, but in this stand-up, he's not giving ground. And that is a good sign, because he's saying, I'm going to match your pressure.
Less than half a minute remaining in the opening round. Eblen, a standout wrestler at University of Missouri, producing Bellator champions Ben Askren, Michael Chandler, Strikeforce UFC champion Tyron Woodley, and now Bellator champion Johnny Eblen. But Eblen 0 for 2 in the takedown department as we close out the first round of this Bellator middleweight championship fight. And a body kick in the left hand from Edwards at the end of the round. The bell in round 2, we take a look at the unofficial statistics as Eblen comes out fast in that opening round. Again, we mentioned over 2 in the takedown department for Eblen, although Big John McCarthy scored a 10-9 for Eblen. And he did have the advantage in terms of the strikes that were landing. And why did you end up giving him the 10-9 round, sir?
Honestly, it's all based on volume. It was just more volume by Johnny Eblen over. Standing in pressure and having aggressiveness is great, but you gotta throw shots. Fabian just needs to up that volume that he's putting out, which he seems to be doing here at the start of the second.
Eblen, as we mentioned, had never lost a round unanimously in 13 pro fights. That was a close first 5 minutes, but Eblen having the advantage in terms of the striking. And
absolutely was close. There was not much difference between it, but Eblen landed the better strikes with more of them. Now, I'll give it that I thought that Fabian Edwards landed a lot of good kicks to the legs of Eblen, but that's really where it ended.
Oh, shot. Fire slide, and Edwards lands on his keister before he pops back up. Said he was going to put the war on his last name, and there was a quick striking exchange, heavy shots, but then Eblen closes the distance and puts Edwards against the fence. And key to victory, you don't want to be against the fence against a guy like Eblen. And now Edwards on the break with the elbow strike.
Yeah, that was a very nice elbow strike. Fabian's doing a good job with his left hand when he gets him tight. He's not using it a lot on the outside with the range. When he gets him tight, he's landing good shots to the body. That was a nice elbow strike.
Oh, and there was a nice straight right left hook combination by Eblen, and he closes the distance and now finding the range. Lands again, although Edwards taking some steam off of that shot, and Edwards goes back to the kicking department. And he told us that he was going to use a cavalcade of kicks. He felt that Mousasi and Tokov didn't kick enough against Eblen, and that may be because, yeah, again, standout wrestler, University of Missouri, where injuries derailed his championship aspirations.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're talking about facing a wrestler, you have to be very careful of where you kick and when you kick, because being on one leg is not a good position to be against a good wrestler. So if Edwards believes that he can do that, you know, it's a great tool, and he's got a fantastic left leg, so I want to see him put that to use.
Edwards, who loves to launch those powerful left kicks. Just over 2 minutes left here in the second round, and Edwards establishing the jab again, has that reach. Advantage on Eblen. Eblen shoots, naked shot, able to track Edwards down, but Edwards, and that's the other thing we've seen throughout his career, Edwards, as Eblen looks for the mount return, Edwards does a good job of, once being taken down, getting back to his feet.
Boy, he popped right to his feet on that. That was an absolute display in athleticism by Edwards, because he was put down. That was a driving tackle, double leg, and he got right to his feet right away. Now, he's still in a position for Eblen to take advantage of this, but great athleticism and way to just make it happen by getting back to his feet.
And Edwards sending a message to Johnny Eblen by getting back to his feet following that takedown, and now making sure that he tries to stay in a vertical position despite being pinned against the fence. And this is where Eblen's going to unload and lands a nice combination.
Well, he was pinned against the fence right in his corner, and so that helped him a lot because he had his corner telling him the progression to go through to get free from Eblen.
And Johnny Eblen, blood on his face, has shored up his striking at American Top Team. We talk about and he tells us how he has been able to put together his boxing and his wrestling to make himself a full-fledged mixed martial artist. And when you work under the tutelage of guys like Mike Brown and King Mo, you are under a very, very erudite learning tree. And let's not forget the training partners.
Right now, it's looking like all this pressure that you're getting from Johnny Eblen in this round is starting to have an effect. Fabian started taking a big, deep breath. He needs to find a place to be able to catch that win.
We are through 2 rounds.
Doc, do you want to see that?
That is a monster cut across the right eyebrow there of Johnny Eblen, courtesy of that elbow from Fabian Edwards. And throughout his career, he has bloodied his opponents with elbow strikes, and he draws first blood here tonight in the biggest fight of his life. And immediately, Eblen, living up to his new moniker, Johnny Pressure, goes back to putting the pressure on Edwards. There's the counter-striking ability of Edwards.
And there's that left hand. We're talking about it here. He goes down.
Edwards goes down. Johnny Eblen pulling on the pressure on the ground and pound, looking to finish Edwards. He's out. Johnny Pressure is Johnny champion again. Johnny Eblen comes in as the champion. One successful title defense. The belt goes. The belt's up for grabs. Johnny Eblen says, not so fast. I'm taking the belt home to America.
Thank you.
And what a sequence, because as we will see, Big John, it was Edwards that took the fight to Eblen.
He landed a shot, no doubt about it.
And now it's the brother Leon, unfortunately, as he takes umbrage with the jubilation, but a huge win for the champion as Johnny Eblen improves to 14-0 with his 6th KO victory.
Well, we talked about there was no love lost in these guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, it comes to an end. 21 seconds into round number 3. The winner by knockout, and still the undefeated Bellator middleweight world champion, Johnny Pressure Eblen.
A monster performance for Johnny Eblen. Let's go to Big John McCarthy, who's going to talk to the champ.
Looks super beautiful. This big cut. He got some tricky elbows, man.
I'm here with middleweight champion Johnny Eblen. You just defended your title for a 2nd time. That fight started off a little slow and kept building and building. And then you received that cut. Did that cut change something in your mind that I have to get this fight over now?
Part of me was like, yeah, I don't know how bad this cut is. It feels pretty bad. So, I just stuck to the game plan, what my coaches were telling me to do. No, I didn't really change much. I just go in and I fight, man. I don't really think too much about it.
You came out, he took the middle of the cage, and you were the one circling at the beginning. Was that a surprise to you? But then you did start to use your pressure to change where the fight took place.
Yeah, early on we wanted to kind of move our feet, stay on the outside, land some kicks, land some punches, see what he had for us. After the first, I felt like I could strike with him. Problem was, though, out of the clinch, I wasn't coming out safely, and he landed some pretty nasty elbows. That's why I got my cut. Yeah, man, this is how the fight game is, though. You know, you can't expect anything to happen going your way all the time.
Were you surprised by his defensive wrestling up against the cage?
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. He did really well controlling my wrist, did well popping up, but over time, I'm just gonna wear, like, it's gonna be harder and harder every time to get up.
Did you see that kind of happening at the end of the second round? I kind of thought he started to get just a little bit tired as the round was coming to an end.
He was getting a little bit tired, and he thought I was gonna turn into a wrestler, but I can still strike, man. I can strike for 5 rounds. I think I'm one of the best in the world, if not the best. I can strike, I can wrestle, I can grapple, I can do it all.
There's no doubt you're one of the best in the world. Congratulations on defending that title. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the middleweight champion of the world, Johnny Pressure Eblen.
Click below to subscribe and watch more MMA content.